Hello, my name's Bernie Marden. I'm the Medical Director here at the RUH. Please spare a thought for our teams, such as those working in our emergency department over the Easter period, to keep you all safe. It's vital at this time that we remember the guidance to stay indoors, protect our NHS, and in doing that, I know as an NHS doctor you absolutely will be saving lives. As you can see, our emergency department is still very much open for business. We understand that at this time people might be anxious about coming to hospital, but we also understand that people will become unwell for lots of reasons. That is why we've designed our services in a way that we can continue to deliver care and keep you safe at the same time. It's much more important that you're seeking help when you need it than to be sitting at home and becoming more unwell and increasingly worried. I'm standing outside of our new respiratory assessment unit. If you have COVID-19, this is where you'll be received into the hospital. We've set up this facility so that we've got the right staff and equipment and approach to manage you safely. Critically, this enables us to continue to manage as many of other conditions as we possibly can in other parts of the hospital. I'm here on the children's ward, and as a paediatrician, I know how worried parents can be when their children become unwell. I also know how quickly and frighteningly children become increasingly unwell. It's therefore really important that parents understand that we're here for them and that they seek help as soon as they're concerned. Behind me, you'll see that we've created a special part of the children's ward which is totally dedicated to caring for children where we're worried about the possibility of COVID disease. It has its own special entrance and it has a completely separate staffing system. This is to make sure that those children receive all the care that they need, but also to keep everyone else safe in the other part of the ward. And finally, I just want to say how appreciative we are of all the goodwill and support that we've received from you, our local community. We really can't thank you enough. The best way now, though, to continue to support us is to listen to the advice, stay at home, protect our NHS, and I will assure you that you absolutely will be saving lives. So thank you all very much.
James Dyson kept the best bits of his pioneering corded vacuums and reinvented the vacuum. Again, big heavy motors are replaced by this powerful hyperdymium motor. Redesigned concentric cyclones generate forces up to 79,000 G. And an improved cleaner head picks up large debris and fine dust. For powerful fade-free suction to clean anywhere. Only a Dyson works like a Dyson.
Get the Dyson V7 Motorhead Plus, now with combination tool, crevice tool, a stub and dirt brush and a 2-year guarantee.
They've sold about 60,000 tickets for this one, Lawrence, and they are making some hum. Well, I tell you what, the majority of them look to be Bath fans as well. All credit to the marketing department. A lot of people criticise the fact that some games are at Twickenham, but I can tell you what, for the fans and the players, once a season or twice a season, it's exactly what you want.
Yeah, Ruben Saar's been fortunate enough to play here with Harlequin to the big game. These are big games, these huge occasions. Everyone wants to be involved.
It's about breaking new ground, playing a Premiership home game away from the Wreck for the first time ever. 221 successive games beside the River Avon. We're not far from the Thames here, so we'll say the 222nd is beside the Thames. A big day for Ben Youngs as well, for one of the away players, a double centurion. 200th game for him. Debut as a 17-year-old as a decade ago. History here 10 years back, youngest ever Premiership finalist at the age of just 17. JP Doyle knows his way around these acres. Simon O'Connell, Andrew Jackson, touch judges. Graham Hughes in our truck, the TMO. No shiny bits of tin up for grabs today, but maybe a little further down the road. Winners, as we've been saying, will have a clear route to 4th place in the playoffs. The Aviva Premiership final back here, 50 days away. That's the long-term goal. Leicester won the toss. Bath and George Ford, next season of Leicester, get us underway in wonderful spring sunshine on a day that feels like a cup final but isn't quite. It's almost a playoff for the playoffs. The first job for the 200-man Ben Youngs is to go long just over halfway, picked up by Talupe Falatau. If you were with us last Saturday lunchtime, you know that he was in full-on beast mode against Breve. A couple of tries, man of the match. Didn't make much ground with his first carry. Leicester have been forewarned. They were up on him quickly. Clip through from Ford. Vianu covering across and then back inside to create some space. Back towards...
No, don't play that.
Friendly shirts. Genge to Cole. Props in harmony. And now the scrum half goes aerial. And Kitchener will chase this. Kitchener just a little bit short, but it created some panic, and Rokodunguni goes back. A pigeon escapes from the oncoming Bath winger, but he doesn't escape from Leicester's clutches. Kept inside his 22.
Yeah, he's a player, as Ugo highlighted before kick-off, that Leicester will have done all their analysis on. He's one of these kind of players you think you've tackled, but just able to have the strength to slip out of the tackle, and it's important that it doesn't get too much space from a Tigers perspective.
Haven't had one yet,
Marked his 50th try for the club last week against Breve, but the Rec went on to score his 51st as well. Nobody has run further with the ball in the Premiership this season. That little excursion across his 22 would have only added to the mileage.
Absolutely. We've seen a couple of box kicks from Leicester today, and Ben Youngs, the current England scrum half, he's going to have to kick well, put the ball on the money, because the back three which Bath possess, you certainly wouldn't want to give them any free space.
First scrum, Bath scrum on their 10-metre line. Khan, Foto Ali'i. Saw ribs in a fortnight's ban in recent weeks, but scrum half trying to push hard between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, as you'd expect there, just the team rankings. Bath going well after a shaky start, but they're second in terms of their scrum on their own put-in. And Leicester right up there in 5th as well. Two sides that have always traditionally been very strong up front.
Sit. Movement.
Too much movement, too much Leicester movement. Bath free kick. Ford. Oh, Joseph was looking to pass the ball before he'd actually gathered it, but no harm done. He's being hunted down by Maxime Mermoz. He does well to keep that alive. Leicester tried to shepherd him out of play. Here's Cat. Cleared over the top by Francois Lowe. Ford, Watson. Foto Ali'i with the snazzy haircut. He's been acquainted with the Clippers over the last few days. Some height on that ball, but Vianu was underneath it. He's not just a mesmeric runner with the ball, he's a very solid defender as well. More often than not will claim those high bombs, and Luke Hamilton tries to drive his way up towards halfway, and then Freddie Burns. He this time goes high as the 3rd tier here in this wonderful arena. Thompson got his hands to it, and it's laid back by Matthew Tate in midfield, and now Kitchener. And Leicester just beginning to play their own drums for the first time. Burns, well, that was flat to Peterson, and he's very nearly got through. Hamilton was on hand to keep it going, couldn't keep his feet. But this is a handy position for the visitors. Don Barrow coming round, but they went the other way to O'Connor, and O'Connor will step around the defence. He steps around Banahan, and Leicester's drummers have very quickly found their beat. First try, Tigers.
Unbelievable score as well. Just shows how effective you can be from that box kick. Ugo talked about it earlier on. This time it wasn't Ben Youngs, it was Freddie Burns that puts the kick up. Leicester are able to regather and go through their first real phases. Peterson just gets the other side. Hamilton takes it on. And Matt Banahan would just be wondering how he couldn't get a finger on Brendan O'Connor. Bianu just goes the short side, one missed tackle. And then O'Connor's got the angle on Matt Banahan for the opening try of the game. Brilliant start from the Tigers.
At the end of a week when Matt O'Connor returned to Leicester ranks, it's his namesake who scores the first try. New boss, same as the old boss.
That's a goal, boys.
And Freddie Burns will be doing that job for Bath next season, gets 2 more points for Leicester. And Brendan O'Connor, who got the Tigers ball rolling at Welford Road in September, gets the ball rolling at Twickenham.
Yeah, just 2 missed tackles, all a bit too easy there. Didn't look like much was on when Bianu tried to link up with O'Connor. But once you're busted initially, you've got to get your defence right. And on this occasion, Bath missed those 2 tackles.
Ford tries to plot this on the 22, and Kitchener was backpedaling as furiously as he could. In the end, they needed the extra defending work of Luke Hamilton, number 8 today. He's been value for money this season after arriving from Zhang and the top 14. And no messing around from the scrum half.
Yeah, he's willing to do a lot of carrying, Nick. You know, they got rid of a lot of number 8s last year, Leicester. Jordan Crane went out the door. Petty Fanua, Pearce, and they needed someone up front just to do that extra bit of carrying. No Ed Slater at the moment, and Hamilton's certainly done that.
Solid Bath line-out. Ben Tatawai, Wallaby starting again. He was launched off the bench against Bree. Ford quickly away to Banahan, and now Watson. What sharp knives Bath have amongst those backs. Rocket and Gooney amongst them. Palmer Newport, Joseph. And it's opening up a little bit here. Ball on the bounce, gathered in. Joseph and Cat only burst through, and Bath are now beginning to make progress over halfway. Ford again with Watson accelerating onto that, but Leicester's stripy defence for the time being holding firm. Palmer Newport shaped to give the pass, instead drove over the 10-metre. Back they come the other way with Ford continuing to knock. A bit more insistently perhaps with Banahan, but doesn't make much ground. Instead it's Ford again, and now Joseph.
Missed it, 7-7.
Bath's runners just running into Leicester nets at the moment. See if they can evade them or find some holes, maybe. Cat again linking up. Forward once more, Tatawai.
No hands, centre.
He offers menace in midfield, he offers muscle as well. He's an absolute brute to try and bring down, as is Palmer Newport. This is a sustained spell of Bath possession, and that was fleet footwork from Ford and picked up by Foto Ali'i. Is a little bit loose. And
forward by Leicester into his own player.
JP Peterson amongst those charging onto it. Bath still have the ball, but because of the knock-on, we can all take a breather and Bath can prepare for the scrum. You've been looking at the try use.
Yeah, just looking at the build-up to the last try. Freddie Burns' identification of space. You can see Tom Ellis on this occasion, he identifies that they are down in numbers. He tries to get the defence across. They don't react. Freddie Burns plays flat to the line. Look at the amount of numbers they've got as an overlap. They get to that soft edge into JP Peterson's hands, manages to offload, resource the ball. A phase later, they end up scoring the try. A really well-worked try from Leicester Tigers. One opportunity, one try.
Let's go. Bath.
Bath having a little bit of possession time as well. There is space out there, even though Tigers have started defending well, but just Bath just need to realign their attack. They're just getting caught a little bit flat, but there's definitely space out there.
It's a penalty if you push his head.
About the influence of
Get in your gap.
Freddie Burns so far. Luke Hamilton's carried the ball 5 times already.
Bind. Set.
I think they'll have to work hard at the moment to set this scrum in something that approximates the concrete.
Okay, stand up. Yeah, stand up a second. Get it steady. Straight to Sands. Get it steady. Both teams. Talking to both teams.
Penalised Leicester already once for not being steady on the engagement. You can understand with both sets of forwards just wanting to lay the foundations down and not give an inch, but just got to be careful. Scrum has to be square and has to be stable.
There's Nathan Catt there, one of Bath's fully fit props, which means he has to be cherished. Got a number out.
Get steady.
And this time,
Get steady.
it's Bath who concede the free kick. Probably prizes things up. Goonie gathering
back 14,
went backwards, so we can play on from the Leicester free kick. Fertualiti, Burns, Catt, Watson, Tatawai, and Bath enjoying these wide open spaces of Twickenham, trying to release the tattooed battering ram that is Matt Banahan. Again, Fertualiti having a little mind down that sunny blind side.
Nice back turnover, all the way 15.
Leicester have turned it over. And Vianu will chase his own kick. How clever from Vianu. He sensed all those open Twickenham acres, and it's a race to the ball. That is brilliant. Running with the ball or kicking the ball and chasing it. There have been few better fullbacks in the Premiership this season than Leicester's Talusa Vianu.
Well, that has brought a smile to the new man, Matt O'Connor. He couldn't resist it, could he? He knows that's a wonderful piece of skill from his fullback. Jonathan Joseph made the mistake, just ran down a blind alley, and that man O'Connor, who scored the opening try, look at that, he's straight in there, swoops down, turns the ball over, not a Bath player in sight. And it's from that turnover that Vianu spots the space. Look at that, no one at home whatsoever. Beautifully weighted kick, and he's going to win the foot race. Judged it to absolute perfection, and it's Leicester's second try. Been a superstar, Vianu. Normally it's his dazzling footwork, but on this occasion it's the vision and spotting the space, and my word, he took the opportunity.
Absolutely brilliant. Just mentioned there, Leicester, one opportunity, one try, will offer turnover. They were the quickest to react. Vianu saw the space, backed his pace, and a brilliant one-handed put down in the top right-hand corner.
It's a 5-point score, but it is a five-star.
Totally lacking stability through the process.
5-point score. Look at this.
Totally lacking stability.
He knew that the football that the fullback had gone missing, that Watson, having worked so hard in midfield to create options, was not guarding the back door.
Just frustrating from Bath's point of view, Nick, because they worked really hard, got themselves over the gain line, they came back down the short side, and no one there supporting Joseph when he took the ball in.
Lifting support work from the pillars to make sure that Kitchener had an easy ride to gather that ball. Falatau, that was all of his own, and he did well to win it back for Bath. And Ford, the home team, the hosts of this fabulous Twickenham party today, having been hit with a couple of early tries. Vianu herring after this one.
Come back from
part of the mix, and he did well to make sure that Tate had possession to work with. Youngs. Ford just outside the 22, and he does well to run around a couple of bigger men. Doesn't escape Leicester's captain Tom Youngs, however. And here goes Lowe. And Falatau, what a wonderful sound that is for Bath supporters. Lowe and Falatau, not being able to say them in tandem together too often this season. Palmer Newport, Tatawai, the hands are quick, and this is Nathan Catt. Hamilton was having a little bit of a scrape on the floor, thinking of a turnover. And that's Tom Ellis, determined, driving over halfway. He's made himself a fixture in that back row this season. Once more, Palmer Newport. Ford, he's very nearly through. This will be a bittersweet day for both sets of supporters as Ford and Burns do things that are brilliant. Immediate hurt right now, but knowing that they'll be doing it in their club colours next season. Joseph, Palmer Newport. Again, Lawrence, Bath happy to have possession, but they're not making much meterage in a forward direction. Yeah, they're just taking the ball standing still at the moment, which is giving the owners back to Leicester Tigers, who are quick up off the line. JP Doyle just playing a little advantage for the knock-on, I think. Stoop amongst those who helped to release Ben Tapawai, but didn't go far, so we'll come back for the knock-on. Yeah, we saw the Bath attacking setup under Mike Ford, where they had that diamond formation in midfield. Got a similar formation, but just a bit flat, a bit shallow. These guys are just hope that they can align themselves a bit better and just get a bit more depth. Tabway Matson, Darren Edwards and Toby Young, the Bath Brains Trust. A day of fun and games not done even when we're finished here. We're off to Wembley, as I'm sure you know by now. Heading north of the river for Saracens against Quins. 4:15 on BT Sport 3. Just stay with us. And highlights of all 5 games so far on ESPN HD. 9:45 tonight. Tomorrow to the Rico, BT Sport 1. Wasps against Northampton. And then next Saturday, just to mark the card, another full weekend here on BT Sport. Amongst the offerings, Leicester against Newcastle from Welford Road. 25 minutes that's rather been shaded in Leicester green, white and red thus far. Lots of blue and white flags in the crowd trying to spur their men on. They've been distinctly second best in key areas thus far. Crouch. Well, 75% possession to the home team, Bath, but all the points, 12 of them to Leicester Tigers. 2 chances, 2 opportunities taken.
But Lawrence, when you look at the territory, they've only had 3% territory in Bath's 22, and out of that 3%, 12 points, which is just brilliant execution.
That's it. Boys, you're putting yourself under tremendous pressure here. Top. Crouch. Bind. Sit. 1, 2, 3, 4. Squeeze. Number 1 Bath on the outside attacking. Change your shape. No.
Nathan
on the ground, not from the back.
Changing his shape, in the words of JP Doyle. He didn't change his shape voluntarily.
Left, drove across the scrum.
And first penalty of the match from the scrum to Leicester.
I just couldn't be sure.
Hugo, you've been having a look at what led to the Toulouse-Bayanu try.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just looking at the personnel as in the bottomman's ruck. As Jonathan Joseph take the ball in, Anthony Watson, Matt Banahan and Futili in that ruck. Their people would normally be in the backfield. It gets completely vacated. No one reacts to it, apart from Bayanu, who kicks into that space. Brilliant finish. Good execution.
Hamilton. That's been lost by Genge. Just a word about Anthony Watson, and it's great to see him popping up in midfield and creating some problems for Leicester. And they've been flashing the ball around with Joseph and Tapawai and Watson. But first and foremost, you've got to cover what's behind you as the fullback, haven't you?
It's quite tough. When Jonathan Joseph took that ball into contact, I guess his primary thought was actually just to resource the ball. And I guess if they did a better job at the ruck, the ball would have been turned over. Needed to be then someone to identify that there's no one in the back of the pitch, and everyone that's normally there thinking about it with the bottom of that ruck.
No, wait. Crouch. Bind.
By the way, just to mark your card about the Exeter Bristol game, which is due to kick off at 3 o'clock. We're hearing that it won't kick off any time before 3:15. There's been a serious accident on the M5, which is making it difficult for folk to get to Sandy Park. Once it does kick off, we'll keep you up to date with any scores that come in, but not kicking off before 3:15 down in Devon.
Fine.
Let's hope these scrums settle down, Nick. We've had 2 free kicks, 1 penalty. This one's just been reset.
Use it.
Digging their studs into the Twickenham turf to create some space for Photo Elite to go long. And that's a very good kick. Leicester will have the line out, but not far off their 10-metre line. Now, was there a knock-on here?
Looking at it, O'Connor does really well to get over that ball. And if he's in possession of it, which he is, and that ball goes forward, which it does, that is a knock-on. Try shouldn't have been given. Lawrence may disagree, mind you, being a back rower.
No, not at all. It was a definite knock-on. It's just a tough one to spot, wasn't it? And
Photo Elite low, who will run hard and with real determination, particularly given the scoreboard at the moment.
Ball's onto the Bath player.
Will eventually release a Photo Elite. Ford held up the pass to find Ellis instead. He takes on Tate. He's only a slip of a lad. He did well to hold up Ellis for as long as he did. Yules finding Photo Elite. And now Ford and Watson. Oh, he's found a little bit of a gap here. Leicester managing to fill it just in time, but here goes Banahan, who tends to make gaps of his own. Brightest Bath moment all game so far, and Palmer Newport on the charge, and now Falatau doesn't hold on to it. Ford looking for options. Joseph will have a run in for the line, and Bath are back at the party.
what a wonderful score to hit back from Joseph. He's the player that made that mistake by getting turned over for the Bianu try, and he makes amends immediately, but that was all about the work of the Bath forward runners. Falatau twice involved. Francois Lowe carrying really strongly. O'Connor unable to turn over. Look at this, first run, strong fend from Falatau and Barrow. And then the forwards involved again. Falatau, lovely little dink, and that's the difference. 1 minute he provides the burst, and then the second time he's the decoy with his hands.
Hat-trick, of course, here in the Calcutta Cup for England a month ago. But that's his first try for his club in 27 games since he scored against Wasps, December 2015. It's been a long time coming. But if you're going to score them with the stardust that Bath have just got that one. And we're going to have a word with Toby Booth in a moment, but let's just allow he and us to watch this conversion. He has judged that to perfection. It's been a golden few minutes for Bath, and they have their first score. And we can have a chat with Toby Booth. Let's talk first, Toby, about Leicester's 2 tries. System errors, what did you see?
Certainly the first one. I think that's a, you know, when you're playing teams at the top of the table, you're in a situation where if you make one mistake, you get punished. And, you know, we certainly contributed to our own downfall in both, actually, a breakdown, turnover. You know, he's seen the space, and, you know, we need to react better to that. That's less of a system error, a work, and an unforced error, really. But we're really pleased in how this is panning out in relation to our intent. We're trying to keep ball in hand, which was a part of our plan. Nice day. You know, we've got a lot of strike runners, want to get the ball in our hands, and if we can be accurate whilst doing that, like you saw in that last try, you know, we think we can cause some problems.
We were talking with Hugo about whose job it is to cover that space behind the rock that forms, Toby, when blokes are on the floor. Whose job is that from your point of view?
I think it's really difficult in that immediate turnover, because you're in an attacking formation straight away. We have players there, we just need to recognise and react a little bit quicker. Normally your 9 would cover that sort of space, depending on what system you use. But if you're in attack, you know, that first phase, you almost want to ruck as quickly as possible to get yourself reorganised.
Brilliant. Thanks for your time, Toby.
Cheers, thanks.
We have the stage, and we now have the contest as well to match. 2 quick Leicester tries, and Bath have responded. It's started very brightly. And this is Burns. What a strange day for Freddie Burns and for George Ford, knowing who they'll be playing for next season. Here goes Vianu, scorer of Leicester's 2nd try, as Merrick Rumlett set up Lockie McCaffrey for a critical one at the Gardens 2 weeks ago. Taken up by Don Barrow, 50th Premiership game for him, pretty evenly split between Leicester and Newcastle. And again, Ben Youngs with the box kick. He gets distance, but he also makes it contestable. Well, JP Peterson easily beaten there by Watson, who is just starting to select 4th, 5th and sometimes 6th gears. Tatawai immediately was looking to find some space to the right of the Leicester fullback.
Yeah, they'll be happy with that, Bath. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's a good kick from Ben Youngs, but no one really competing for it. And if you give Anthony Watson that much space, he gets in behind. No problem at all.
Please, thank you. Dan, back up a bit. Dom, just go a bit. It's under a Bath body.
Tatawai takes contact. Here's Cat. Trained with England ahead of the Six Nations in January without being involved in the real thing, unlike George Ford, who playing with front football is looking a little bit of a menace increasingly here. Low providing the drive, picked up by Foto Aliti. Once more it's Ford, eyes wide open, feet flashing, and this is wonderful handling from Bath. And they are negotiating themselves into fairly dangerous areas. Once again, it's Lowe spinning away from the tackle. Yules was waiting for it. In the end, he just helps out as one of the heavy mob. Sharp feet once more from Falatau to evade the tackles. Bath have engineered a more than handy situation here. Try to square things up. Big hit from Ellis Genge, who went as low as a mole.
Leave it, leave it, leave it, leave it. Leave it.
Penalty coming in front of the posts. It's the easiest of 3 points. It was Brendan O'Connor on the floor who was told to give it up.
It's a wonderful passage of play from Bath. You just feel that Leicester are tackling all the players around George Ford, but forgetting the running threat that George Ford possesses. So talented, ball in hand, just showing and pumping the ball.
George, you can kick when you want. If he's
picking up the runners. Offloaded to Francois Lowe, and then another one. Look at this. One-handed offload to the Bath players, and they're just getting those offloads and getting in behind Leicester.
Talk about attacking prowess from Bath, but how about this from a hit from Ellis Genge? Gets incredibly low, knows the threat of Francois Lowe. You can't run without your legs, that's for sure. And Ellis Genge, perfectly executed tackle.
Leicester scored the first dozen points. Bath have got the next 10.
Yeah. Bath coaches will be really pleased with the way that their side have just not panicked, having gone 12-0 down and got themselves back into this game. One converted try, one penalty, and it's nicely balanced.
You're right, Lawrence. I'll tell you what, if this game kicked off at 2:20, the Bath coach will be very happy. Started very slowly, but come right back into it.
Tackle.
Hamilton once more sliding in to try to gather the ball, but knock on into touch, so the choice of the line out or the scrum.
Yeah, give him the option. Scrum a line there, Francois. Scrum a line there, knock on it to touch. I don't think so. You sure? Yeah. Line out. I'm having the line out.
They're going for the line out.
Yeah.
Hugo's had a bit of analysis up his sleeve for about 5 minutes now that we've not had time. I'd better be good. Is it?
It's not.
It's worth waiting for, is it?
Probably not.
Well,
the game's fairly frantic and quite excited.
Well, we'll have a look at that in a moment. As soon as we get the opportunity, he's been colouring hard. Photo Elite to Ford and Tapawai, and Joseph was offering himself, and Tapawai got himself in a bit of a tangle there. And Leicester have it back with Cole. Not mentioned in much, but that went forwards, and Mermars will be brought back. It's lovely to see both sides playing with such ambition, ball in hand, and with runners and options either side of them.
I think on a day like today, when the ball is dry and the stadium's fantastic, people do get really excited. As we saw in the try leading up to Joseph, Bath have got a fantastic amount of quality, but when they combine together, look at the lovely ball which Talupe Faletau gives George Ford, and you see what it does to the Leicester defence. Completely splinters them, brings out Freddie Burns out to the line, and how about that for a delayed pass? George Ford almost doing that 60%. The guy's got so much time on his hands. A lovely try.
That was worth waiting for,
was it?
Wasn't it? Good colouring. Good colouring. Well done. 7 out of 10. Leicester win the penalty from the scrum.
Second scrum penalty to Leicester. Probably have a little shot at goal here. Just interesting, Ugo, on that post ball that Bath run. As a defender, you've got two decisions to make. You either get up hard and attack it early and cut the ball out, or you back off and allow the play to happen in front of you so you don't commit yourself. And on that occasion, Freddie Burns and Leicester sort of got caught between one and the other.
You're absolutely right. I think when you have the ability to put that much firepower to the line and decent ball players making good decisions, you always put the defence on the back foot.
Ellis Genge, first full season as a Tiger. He brought his claws with him from Bristol, and he's been using them regularly all season. JP Dawes just told him to put them back, and Leicester keep the penalty, but the warning was there that it might be reversed next time. And Burns, nonchalantly, in the southwest London sunshine, stretches Leicester's lead back to 15. Bath 10, Leicester, back to 5 rather. Bath 10, Leicester 15.
Tough boy, isn't he, Ellis Genge? He's played every game in the Premiership for Leicester this season, which you expect from a young lad. Got that ability to bounce back, recover nice and quick. He's a real bright star for the future.
I think Nick actually nicknamed him Stone Genge early in the season, wasn't it, Mullins?
Quite proud of that. It's been a stream of largely nonsensical rubbish from the opening month, but that was a rare shaft of light, if I may say so myself.
I was very proud of you. That's brilliant.
Probably a few supporters that come up from that neck of the woods today.
Actually, talking of Stone Genge, that Exeter game will kick off at 3:15. We're hearing. Matt O'Connor, good to see him back in a Leicester tracksuit. Left initially to slip into a Leinster one, but I think whoever you were as a coach, it was a brave choice to try and replace Joe Schmidt in Dublin. And he did all right. He had them competitive in the Pro 12, in the Champions Cup, but not good enough for Leinster. They have standards as high as they have at the club that he's now back at.
He certainly knows everything about the club he's come back to join, isn't he? Very successful in his time here, and I'm sure that's what the Leicester Tigers supporters will measure him against on the second time around.
Black. Hinging, he caused the green flag to fall in.
Just starting to feel a little bit here, Lawrence, that Leicester are getting the edge a little bit.
Well, I think if I was in that Leicester Tigers analysis room all week, looking at the personnel that Bath are missing up front, Matt Garvey, our guest, of course, one or two others missing, Dave Atwood in the engine room, they probably would have said, let's have a go at Bath, not just at the set piece in the scrum where they're reaping the rewards. 3 penalties now. That one goes against Nathan Catt just for hinging in, and it results in Tigers losing their feet, Bath get the penalty, but I'm sure the driving play as well. They would have targeted Bath up front, and at the moment, the Tigers are winning that battle.
It's Dave Atwood, he's not far away. We're hearing that he might be playing again against Worcester next weekend, but meantime, once again, via Leicester's shimmering attack, Bath have got some defending to do. Here goes Genge, who tends to thud more than shimmer. Held up just outside the 22. Tate spins it to O'Connor. He's got Vianu and Peterson to his left-hand side. Takes the hit 5 metres infield. Youngs, he almost went on his own there. We've seen him do that for England in recent times. And Leicester beginning to put some coal on the fire here. Peterson.
Stay there.
Having to check the locks defensively for the first time in a while. Brilliant from Tom Youngs, and the drive from Barrow in his 50th game. And he's been held up, but that was about the speed of the hands of the hooker.
Well, Bath retreating in defence. Leicester, the run by Thompson, look at that, wide open on the pass back inside. Thought he might have tried to link up with the outside backs, but he's well defended. But after that, Ben Youngs is then pulling the strings. Genge on the carry. And as you say, Nick, that lovely little tip-on pass. Look at this, beautiful little hands, soft hands from Youngs. And Barrow, for all money, probably went a little bit high, didn't he, on Watson, and gave him the opportunity to wrap himself up. But Bath managed to scramble.
There was a little bit of scepticism when Bath a few months back announced that this potentially pivotal game against Leicester would be held at Twickenham, that they would sacrifice home advantage at the Rec. But how hard they have worked to fill these seats in the sunshine. It's not a full house, but look at that, 61,868, nearly 62,000. That's as good an attendance as any club has ever got on their first appearance here at Twickenham. So well done to everybody who's made the effort to come today, and well done to those who put on the show back at the Rec.
And, you know, Premiership rugby sport is about great rivalries, and this, in rugby union, in the Premiership, in this country, is a great rivalry. Bath v Leicester. Certainly growing up, it's what a lot of people remember here at Twickenham. And it's great to see these two big clubs back here on the biggest stage.
Actually, the attendance, I'm being told, should have been 61,869, but Eddie Jones has chosen instead to go to Wembley. So not quite as much as it might have been.
Well, we know he's a football fan, don't we? Won't be seeing any football today.
Crouch.
Genge. Not against Kane, Palmer, Newport.
Bind.
Palmer, Newport can expect full employment between now and the end of the season. Max Lahith has gone for the remainder of it with a hamstring injury. And Leicester in a very menacing position here. And the power of the pack that they invest heavily in.
Dangerous looking scrum that. Bath have been on the wrong end of 3 penalty decisions, and they're really going to have to muscle up on this occasion. JP Doyle not jumping in with a whistle, giving both sides the benefit of the doubt there.
You cannot flip on the outside. I talked to him as well.
It's the referee's view.
That's a mess, isn't it? Bath scrum comes up.
If I can. Seconds! Crouch!
It's a strong front row for Leicester. Dan Cole, Tom Youngs, both immensely experienced, and the young Ellis Genge, who gave Kieran Brooks a fairly good workover a couple of weeks ago.
Genge has played in every Premiership game this season. Marcus Ajertse has been absent for large slabs of it injured, so Genge really has accelerated his education. However, a feather in the Bath front row.
He's all lost his shape, and then you've gone on your knees.
Or maybe a feather in the beard.
You've lost your shape, and he's gone on his knees.
There's me giving the Leicester Tigers front row the big hit up, and I think the penalty went against Dan Cole actually on JP Doyle's side.
You go, Ellis Genge.
Just looking at the work what he's doing in the set piece, but also in the loose, the lovely line which he runs now just on Francois, gets to his outside shoulder and it sits him down enough just to open up that space for Maxime Mermoz and Adam Tombstone to go through. He's been brilliant so far this half. Set piece, scrum, the maul, but also in the loose, been very effective.
Oh, Leicester win that ball, and this is Hamilton who's been lively. Francois Lowe calling for reinforcements on his side of the pitch, which is where Leicester continue to have a look with Mike Fitzgerald, who's had another industrious season. O'Connor was one way, but they went instead for Burns, who was clipped by Lowe, and Graham Hughes will have a look at that. Photo Elite, meantime, who called the mark, finds Ford, who finds Peterson, who did very well to keep his ballet shoes on the stage. Freddie Burns is still down injured. He's getting a little bit of treatment after that coming together with Francois Lowe. Here's Mermoz.
Okay, thank you. Tackle, Bath, roll away.
On we go. There was no second movement, you'll have heard there. So Francois Lowe absolutely within his rights to hold his ground. Here goes O'Connor, running into the tackle of Charlie Ewells.
The ball is under your player right here.
There goes Genge. There's a lot of acceleration in that one, but he ran into the wall that is Ewells again.
Leave 7.
A couple of minutes to go. The end of an entertaining first 40. Leicester with the 2 tries. Bath responding with Jonathan Joseph. O'Connor and Vianu had struck early for the Tigers. Burns goes beyond Mermoz to find Tate, and this is Vianu, and a little bit ambitious looking for Adam Thompson.
You can see the ambition of Leicester, the ability to try and bully Bath in the middle of the pitch and then get them on those soft edges. We saw it for the first try, just a little bit of inaccuracy. Not the most of sympathetic of passes. I'll tell you something not sympathetic at all is the treatment on Freddie Burns. He's going to be their teamer next year. Not too much in it. Play on, he gets up.
How many plays, Bath?
No damage done.
It's a question I can't really ask either of you two, being one club men, but what a strange thing for Freddie Burns and George Ford today to be knowing the situation next season.
Bath Hooker, go back
I'm
to
sure
where you were,
in their own minds they would have reconciled it a long time ago, because they made that decision well before the January date that it was kind of announced. But Freddie Burns, I guess, you know, going back to the city of his birth, so you know, he'll feel that a part of him was always in Bath, and for George Ford, of course, he's going back to the club that let him go, so he'll feel that he probably shouldn't have left in the first place.
Here goes Thompson. The Tigers 3 tries at the Gardens a couple of weekends ago. It's 8th of the season. He's been as effective as any Leicester player.
I didn't think so.
Time of year where players and coaches and fans start to talk and think about their player of the season. Here's Watson. I wonder where he might figure. Try scorer off the wing here against Scotland in the Six Nations last month. Leicester have got a player down injured. It looks like Tom Youngs. It is Tom Youngs. He's in a lot of pain. He's doing what he can to limp into this defensive line, but it'll be absolutely no help at the moment as Tatawai edges towards him.
Legal. Tackler went to ground, playing the ball.
Tatawai, Ford, Watson, Joseph just beyond him. That's hard work on the floor from Mermoz. Just slowing it down, but not winning it back. And Stoop linking up with Ford, and Tatawai's limping a little bit now as well. So both sides shorn of a player as Falatau took it on.
Side entry. Clear up. Clear up.
Side entry against Brendan O'Connor. Never really got ever behind the back foot. Something that Leicester, I've noticed throughout this half, have been doing quite effectively, but on that occasion O'Connor gets caught. It's Falatau who links up with Ford, just straightening it up. Look at this, O'Connor. Nice easy one for both the assistant referee and JP Doyle, and it'll give Bath an opportunity to have a little shot at goal and get 3 points back. As Tom Youngs, as you say, Nick, looks in a lot of trouble there.
One of Leicester's try scorers in the win at Welford Road at the start of the season. He would, of course, love to have played much more here for his country in recent times, but last time we saw him in white at Twickenham was during the World Cup, and well, he will hope, and Leicester fans will hope, that's not the last time we've seen him in a Leicester shirt here this afternoon. doesn't look good, and he's being replaced by George McGuigan. Right at the end of the first half, with time up, Leicester lose their captain, and this is how it happened. So running into Yules. I think it might be the right knee. Tom Youngs has gone, and George McGuigan will have over 50% of the match to exert his influence. Combination of the first 40 is a George Ford shot at the posts. Head down, foot driven through the ball, but wide of the posts. Well, first 40 that had a lot to commend itself, watched by a crowd of 61,868, including Matt Garvey, who's with us, and he will offer his thoughts after the break. Bath 10, Leicester 50.
James Dyson kept the best bits of his pioneering corded vacuums and reinvented the vacuum. Again, big heavy motors are replaced by this powerful hyperdymium motor. Redesigned concentric cyclones generate forces up to 79,000 G. And an improved cleaner head picks up large debris and fine dust. For powerful fade-free suction to clean anywhere. Only a Dyson works like a Dyson.
Get the Dyson V7 Motorhead Plus, now with combination tool, crevice tool, a stubborn dirt brush and a 2-year guarantee.
Bath Rugby Foundation empowers vulnerable children to succeed, and in Bath, when you scratch below the surface, it's not that perfect. The young people we work with, generally in education, they're slipping through the net, they're falling through the net. In fact, there's an argument that there isn't a net anymore, and more young people are finding that traditional education isn't working for them.
A lot of these young people have negative experiences with learning in a traditional environment, and so what we try to do is turn it on its head.
It's more hands-on, it's more practical, and obviously we've got the rec here, so they'll be out doing exercise, not necessarily rugby, it can be anything.
Using sport, it is such a powerful tool to develop young people and help them to realise what opportunities are out there and to how to access them and to get the skill set to be able to move forward in life.
We are trying to create strong children rather than fixed broken adults. We see that we are there at the start to make a big difference.
We currently need to raise over £800,000 a year, so please come and get involved in one of our events. You can walk, run, cycle, sleep out to tackle youth homelessness, volunteer or partner with us to support our award-winning work. Just a simple donation can make a huge difference to those who have had the toughest start to life. Thank you.
James Dyson kept the best bits of his pioneering corded vacuums and reinvented the vacuum. Again, big heavy motors are replaced by this powerful hyperdymium motor. Redesigned concentric cyclones generate forces up to 79,000 G. And an improved cleaner head picks up large debris and fine dust. For powerful fade-free suction to clean anywhere. Only a Dyson works like a Dyson.
Get the Dyson V7 Motorhead Plus, now with combination tool, crevice tool, a stubborn dirt brush and a 2-year guarantee.
Contest that's helped colour the landscape of the English game, I guess, down the years, and a fifth meeting of old friends here at Twickenham. Bath enjoyed the early years. They won 3 Pilkington Cup finals here in the 80s and 90s, but Leicester took the title. It was then the Zurich Championship, the forerunner of the Premiership. And they played the final here in 2001. And at half-time, heading into the second half, it is Leicester who lead. Freddie Burns who kicks us off.
Outside.
Falatau with the save take. Charlie Yours is waiting, but neither scrum half have messed around in their own 22, and Fetu Aliti with the first clearing kick. Here's Veanu, one of the try scorers. A bit of work, all of his own making. Chip over the defence. And Connor, who has worked as hard as anybody in that first 40. That's lost, however, by Tate. Tate, we're hearing, the new Leicester captain in the absence of Tom Youngs, who hobbled off injured before half-time. George McGuigan with us. He's the new boss.
Tate, the new captain, hasn't started that second half as well as certainly what he would have liked to have done. A really good, strong performance from Leicester Tigers. 7 times they've led at half-time in the Premiership this season and have gone on to convert each and every one of them into a W. A massive 30-odd minutes to go.
A few handling errors there from Leicester at 7-3. You wouldn't have expected that given the scoreline, but Matthew Tate just looked like he got his body a bit squared across. Maybe thought that he was coming back across the grain. Freddie Burns on a slightly different wavelength, but either way, another scrum penalty goes against Bath, and this is now starting to be a big area of concern for them.
It's the 4th in total, this one against Nathan Catt. Just looking at the bank of statistics that Opta provide us at half-time. Fascinating one around the 2 fly halves. George Ford's had 6 carries, 38 metres in total, 3 offloads. Freddie Burns, no carries, no metres made, no offloads. I actually checked to make sure that was right. He's, whatever game he's playing, and he's been prominent, he's not playing a carrying game, Lawrence.
No, he's, I mean, Bath, even though they're behind on the scoreboard, they're enjoying the lion's share of possession. About 62% v 38, and what it tells you is that Freddie Burns has kicked everything away that that Leicester have had. The tries have come not necessarily from phase play, but more from just being clinical and ruthless from turnovers.
This would be his longest kick of the season. It's a lovely still spring day at Twickenham. He has the perfect conditions, and it's the perfect kick. And in the end, it is the perfect start to this second half for the visitors, who stretch the lead to 8. Bath 10, Leicester 18. Freddie Burns with 3 more.
Stats can often be misleading. He hasn't done much perhaps in terms of running with the ball, but his influence on this game is very clear to see. His control and his kicking has been quite outstanding so far.
With the restart, Peterson was peering up into the sunshine, and he needed some help from Tate to claim that. Ben Youngs, 200th game for Leicester today. What an achievement that is. Another one-club man, like the 2 gentlemen sitting either side of me here today, Hugo Monya and Lawrence Delalio. Taken in by Falatau, starting to fizz at the right time of the season with the Lions squad announcement just around the corner. Ford, Tom and Newport, Watson and Lowe. Oh, and that was just a little bit loose, but they got away with it there. It went through Catt rather than off him and forward.
Brendan O'Connor making a real nuisance of himself there around Anthony Watson, just slowing the ball down, and Bath having to restock themselves
Well, Bayford at half-time was talking about earning the right to go wide, and Bath on that occasion tried to go wide from a slow ruck, and Futili, being the general which he is, has slowed the ball down and actually said, let's get out of here.
To call him Bayfield? We're going all public school here, Monia. Bayfield minor.
You two have dressed for the occasion, that has to be said.
Well, at least we've dressed now.
He got back to his feet and picked the ball up.
It's a great scrap on the floor. Leicester still have it to work with. Fitzgerald played a part in all bar one Premiership and European game this season, the New Zealander. O'Connor has played in all of the Premiership games, and he's having one of his better ones here.
Really has another very good carry, good decision making, just to keep hold of the ball. He looked for the offload, wasn't on, resourced the ball, Leicester still in control.
McGuigan joined us just before half-time for the stricken Tom Youngs. Burns.
Number one, come back, number one, Leicester!
Again, boot to ball to put some pressure on Banahan, and being hunted down by Adam Thompson.
Release picked up. Off the foot, kick forward.
Oh, and it's Leicester ball, and again it's turnover ball. And it was Hamilton this time, and now with possession that they wouldn't have been expecting. Bath's defence having to realign quickly. And Bath's defence, in the end, given a reprieve off a Leicester knock-on.
Yeah, just thought Matt Banahan might have got that pass away, wasn't able to, and as a result, they were a little bit isolated at the breakdown. Ball goes forward, that man Barrow gets it, look at that. Just comes off a boot. It's a Bath boot, isn't it, that kicks it forward, but unfortunately for Tigers, Hamilton, look, just stays on his feet, just wriggles, and Don Barrow stripped.
Hold back. Fine. No. Just listen. I told him.
There's Don Barrow, 50th Premiership game for him today. 26 for the Falcons, 24 now for the Tigers.
It's really important now for Bath, having given away that first penalty at the scrum. They just lock things down here, no messing around. 8 points behind, cannot afford to give Leicester Tigers easy outs.
It's been a rickety platform, this, for Bath in the game so far.
Bind. Sit.
Penalty against Ellis Genge's side of the scrum.
It's more like it. There's one paid into the bank for the Bath front row. They'll be delighted. Just allows them not only to relieve the pressure, but if the set piece goes the way it should do, they can win this line out, and it's a whole different picture.
It's Tom Ellis, clocked on for over 1,000 Premiership minutes so far this season now, which is the best at the club. Referred to Aliti, tap wide, Joseph linking up with Ford, and Banahan's running onto it, and he got a second bite at the apple. And still they go, and Ford clips it through, and looks to be simple enough for Thompson, but Leicester playing with some hot coals here. Veyanu having to work hard to get it back, and is that Matthew Tate who's down injured?
Yeah, it is Matthew Tate. Again, looks like he'd got a head injury or neck injury of some description, but Bath going quick.
Well, they sense that they're a man down in midfield, Leicester, and they're looking to make the most of it with Falatau. Leicester have already lost one captain, they're on the verge of losing another. And Bath are threatening a second try here. Ford. And this is Cat.
I'm going to come back here.
But there was
saying there's a problem.
a little bit of obstruction. However, we're coming back for what is clearly a less than straightforward injury for Matthew Tate.
Thanks, lads. You okay?
Leicester's medical team offering as much support as
I
they
didn't know
can
what you were calling.
to the neck.
Sorry, I didn't know what you were calling, yeah.
Is this where it happens? He just gets his head caught and it collides with Matt Banahan's bony bits. Oh dear.
Yeah, it's just a hip.
I think it would be an enormous surprise if we saw Matt Tate again in this contest. Jack Roberts is coming on. He's a hefty lump of cheese in midfield. They won't lose anything muscular-wise with him in the back line, but they've lost the guile and the leadership of Matthew Tate for the time being.
They certainly have. What Jack Roberts certainly gives you is a focal point. Brilliant in terms of getting over the game line defensively, very good. And he's going to have to be at his very best now to try and stop this Bath attack.
Ben Youngs, occasion of his 200th match, is now captain. Leicester have had 3 coaches over the course of this season. They've had 3 captains over the course of this match.
Green.
Leicester concede the penalty, so free ball for Tapawai again. Joseph looking to be an influential co-conspirator. O'Connor over the ball, doing what he can, but he's repelled. Driven hard by Elliot Stooke. And for Luke Charteris today, who broke a hand this week. Nathan Catt again having another look. And Bath are driving within the line, within sight of that try line. Oh, and it's being lost by Charlie Ewells.
I just wonder why JP didn't go back for the scrum penalty there. Definitely system referee called the penalty against Dan Cole, and I guess as the balls come out, you know, yes, we can play on with the game, but I think the Bath forwards will feel aggrieved by that, because would have just helped to redress the balance.
What constitutes advantage in your mind?
Well, it's about getting further ahead than you were before, and where are we now? 3 phases later, exactly in line with where the scrum has taken place. That, for me, is no penalty advantage. Clear penalty against Dan Cole there for caving in on the tight head side.
As to whether that's a penalty or not, I don't know, but in terms of the advantage, they had an opportunity to get 3 points off the back of that. This is the turnover stuff, what we saw. Bath aren't really learning their lessons. Their reaction time's really poor. First half, look, they turn the ball over, no one reacts to it. You see the amount of space left in the back of the field. In the first half, that was Viana who put a lovely kick in. This is Don Barrow, slightly different skill set. But once again, Bath just aren't reacting. Their transition between defence and attack at the moment is just a little bit sluggish. And Don Barrow probably let them off the hook a little bit.
Leicester's new captain, Ben Youngs, who indirectly has taken over from his brother via Matt Tate. This was a while back that Bath were keen on signing Ben Youngs, but recommitted himself to Leicester. However, he and his mates have got some defensive work to do here, and Bath do eventually get the penalty from the scrum.
Just wonder if the assistant referee might have had a word in JP Doyle's ear.
Collapse. Back you go.
Slightly harder kick now, though, isn't it? George Foot. Let's have a look at this one. This time. Penalty goes against Ellis Genge on that occasion.
Counting them up, it's overall the 7th scrum penalty in the match. Ellis Genge not the only one who's been guilty. It's been pretty evenly shared.
It's good to see, though, when you have a contest that seemingly is going one way, as it was for Leicester Tigers, and then the contest swings back the other way. Bath without Max Laheath today, who's been ever present and very strong in that Bath front row. Bit of reorganising to do.
It's been a tough week for the family forward, what with Toulon prematurely terminating Mike's contract at the start of the week. George Ford doing what he can to keep his current employers in touch with those who will be his new employers again next season. And the gap cut once more to 5. have a word with Jordan Murphy. Geordie, I just wonder what kind of key messages you were addressing at half-time. What can you tell us?
Oh, it's pretty difficult. You know, we thought that Bath obviously want to keep the ball in play. They want to be a little bit unstructured, and they're causing us problems when they throw the ball wide. So we wanted to hold a little bit of width in defence and put them under pressure in their own territory. Obviously, as well, that was been a little bit disappointing from our point of view. We haven't managed that as well as we probably could have, and played some good football early in the game, and pretty much been on the back foot since then. So it's important that we play the way we want to play.
How much did we hear Matt O'Connor's voice at half-time? What kind of role did he play, Geordie?
Yeah, Matt was pretty good, obviously very knowledgeable. He came in and they had a few words to say, and saying that left the coaching pretty much to the guys who've done it all week.
And just a quick update on Tom Youngs. Any news? I know it's hectic at half-time, but anything you heard?
Yeah, no, it's not too serious. He had a bit of a dead leg. Tom had a virus early part of the week, didn't train, so we knew he was going to be struggling, and particularly when the weather was going to be this warm. We were hoping he'd get to half-time, and George McGuigan's as a good replacement to have coming on.
Tom and Geordie, thank you. This is Barrow. Burns again. No second thought. Boot to ball straight away to put some pressure back on Falatau, who will quite happily run it back. What are you pointing at, Hughes?
Freddie Burns is struggling off the back of that kick. He pointed straight at his leg, and then looked at the bench, hides him at the back of the pitch now.
Tapawai wriggling his way up to halfway. Beyond Yules into the arms of Katz. Yules was tackled by Genge, so
there's no one to join onto.
Some advantage being played here, and Ford has a little lottery excursion over the top, so we'll come back for that.
Yeah, a couple of things to really admire there. Tapawai, lovely left foot step, just buys himself an extra 2 or 3 yards, gets his side on the front foot, and when they're in behind, Ellis Genge just tackles off the ball, giving away the penalty as Freddie Burns looks like he's going to the side just for another assessment.
But what we see in Lawrence today is we've seen the sun for the first time in quite a long while, and the surface here at Twickenham is actually very firm. So what you see in the last 20 minutes is a lot of cramp. Freddie Burns refueling us, or Tapawai doing the same. Jonathan Joseph been going through his little hamstring routine. I can see him stretching off at the moment, and you wonder, come the final quarter, whether the intensity, the weather is going to have an impact on the game.
Leicester have got young Ben White, 18-year-old scrum half, on the bench, so you'd expect that they'd look to Ben Youngs to put in a full shift. Owen Williams is the replacement fly half. Jack Roberts is already on with us for Matthew Tate. Bath have Chris Cook, Reece Priestland and Tom Homer.
Told them 6, you told me 7, okay? 7, please. You told them 6.
Just having a little recount of the line-out. This will be Ross Batty, 100th Premiership appearance. First 4 as a Newcastle player, the rest as a Bath player. Falatau. It's one of those players who's, whenever he's on the ball, and that was his 12th carry, you always expect something to happen. It's not going to end quietly.
Yeah, they worked that really nicely, front of the line out, but used Falatau on the back peel, so the ball went straight off the top to him, got out immediately over the gain line. But that's another excellent work at the breakdown. It's that man, Brendan O'Connor. He's been an absolute nuisance. Really effective at the breakdown today. Just have another look at this. It's O'Connor who was responsible, albeit after a knock-on, for the turnover on Joseph, but just getting the wrong side, slowing the ball down long enough for JP Doyle to give the penalty for holding on.
Hearing, by the way, that Matthew Tate won't be rejoining us. He's not come through that head injury assessment. So Jack Roberts, whose days in the Leicester shirt are numbered, he's off to Cardiff at the end of the season. Will get to play a full part over what's left of this game. Watson brilliantly taken, then and escapes the tackle of O'Connor's, but then that not so brilliant. Tapawai tries to sort things out, but it's Leicester ball with Burns. Still running a little bit gingerly. In fact, there's a big limp there. And increasingly, we wonder, inevitably, Hugo, about how long Freddie Burns can continue. He's trying to soldier on.
He really is. He's got a big heart, and he'll certainly want to be playing this game. It's a massive game, of course, and he's led his team really well. But he certainly is struggling. However, the game which he's playing at the moment, where it's a lot of passing and just kicking the ball into the right areas, you're hoping he'll be able to soldier on.
Hearing Bath supporters behind us here in the West Stand getting very frustrated about the way Leicester are playing, always kicking the ball. But it's working at the moment.
It certainly is. Today's all about winning. I don't think anyone's going to remember the performance so much. And Freddie Burns, who spoke about his maturity before the game, a great attacking threat, but today it's all been about his maturity and his control.
It's also about the mistake from Anthony Watson, because the kick was too deep, gave Watson a little bit of space as we see another penalty. The referee's going to have a word now.
Both captains, scrum. Steady, Bath, back 10. Right. So the situation is, with continuing penalties at scrum, players are now going to have to leave the field, okay? We're not getting steady, we're not getting stable, we're getting scrums on the ground, 6 guys not complying, okay? It's very clear to everyone.
Good word.
Of course
Everyone's on their last warning.
Everybody, both teams. Yeah, time's off. Time's off.
So there'll be no reprieve, no hint of parole, no community service. You'll be going for 10 minutes next time you get on the wrong side of JP Doyle, and that's the message that Ben Youngs is passing on now.
Mind you, looking at some of the face, they could probably do 10 minutes.
Or a little bit of community service.
Okay, 10 metres back.
Huge day of rugby here in London today. We're bringing you 2 games from the capital's 2 biggest arenas this afternoon, heading north of the river once we're done here. Saracens against Quins from 4:15, BT Sport 3. Highlights of all the games on ESPN tonight, ESPN HD at 9:45, and then tomorrow up to the West Midlands, to the Rico once more for Wasps against Northampton, which should be a cracker. And just to mark your cards, amongst the duels next weekend, Leicester Newcastle.
No, penalty.
Long and short of this one, Nick. Nice little touch finder. Takes Leicester deep into the 22 for Bath, and a real opportunity.
It's an interesting change. I wonder whether that change was predicated by the word that JP Doyle's had. Palmer Newport replaced by Sean Knight, the former Gloucester man. He was on loan from Newport, went Dragons initially, but he's earned a full contract now. And he's on in this contest as Leicester try and dig a few holes 10 metres short of the try line. It's been a while since they've been in this area. Kitchener hoofs it on. O'Connor. Dan Cole's waiting for it. Fitzgerald the other side. Instead it was Genge cutting his own track to the right. And still they have a look down this side, and Burns again kicks it, but it might yet work. It's very nearly taken by Thompson, but nowhere near as clean as he would have hoped.
That's the wrong option really from Freddie Burns. You can see what he was trying to do, but tell you what, you've got to thread it through the eye of the needle to do that, and just keep the phases going. I thought they had a couple of really strong carries, Leicester, that got in behind the Bath defence, and you know, if you're a forward, you look back and you fly off and say, it's not what we need.
I think you're right. Just lacked a little bit of patience. Been very complimentary about his decision-making. That certainly was the wrong one for me.
Your guys. Once.
Ellis at the back. Switch from lock to flanker this season has been a successful one. All the hard work over last summer to shed the 2 stones to turn him into a back rower. And from a solid position, Fotuali'i up to Veanu. Has been spitting flames all season, and he's licking a few away there as well. Kitchener away neatly and briefly.
10 good.
Hamilton continuing to work hard, and Burns to Peterson, the Springbok winger. Peterson, one of Leicester's big marquee signings
Ball's here in the Leicester
beginning of this season.
Just hurt himself, Veanu. He's just gone to the sideline after that little run. Let's hope he's okay and able to come back into the fray.
Youngs again, he gives the impression that he's going through one door and goes through another, but Bath were well positioned. Ball's there for Youngs.
13, here you are.
O'Connor offered himself, but Young's held on to it.
7, leave it!
Francois Lowe doing his best there to slow things down as Dan Cole just trucks it up another couple of yards.
Young's waits
get them to arrive up.
taken by Hamilton at pretty much the same time as Bath's defensive line arrived. So they've lost a few metres, Leicester. Fitzgerald will try to regain it.
Showing a bit more patience up to 11th phase in this attack. They're not making a huge amount of ground, but they are building slowly.
Yellow line, as I'm sure you know by now, is where Leicester started. That's the gain line. So McGuigan tries to take them over it, but in fact he was the dummy runner. And now Roberts, and he's got Viano to the left, and he's got Peterson to his left. And in the end, Viano's eyes were a bit too big for his belly, and ball was lost.
Use it, please.
However, with 5 metres of space and Viano and Peterson about to conspire, you thought good things for Leicester there, Hughes.
I certainly did. I got excited. I think Viano probably got himself a bit too excited as well. I think scored the try before he caught the ball, but fair play to Bath. Really, really strong defence.
I just thought Fotoli might put that one out on the full side. A bit under a lot of pressure, done a fair bit of defending, and that's smart players. We just see Viano, look, you can see he's taking his eyes off the ball before they're in his hands. So it'll be Leicester once again who get the put into the line out and can build.
6.
A bit of a delay here while Adam Thompson takes some treatment, and Bath will use that time to make a change. That's David Denton, fit and ready to go again. Denied the opportunity to play here for Scotland in the Six Nations, but he has his chance now. Taking over from Tom Ellis.
Let's go. Yep.
Well, Leicester's 4-season wait for a trophy ended across the road a few weeks ago. Pipped Exeter to the Anglo-Welsh Cup at the Stoop. Route to the final included a narrow win at the Wreck in the Pool. And they hold a narrow lead here in the Aviva Premiership at Twickenham, but Bath's defence, led by Francois Lowe, is steadfast at the moment, and look how much ground Leicester have lost.
Yeah, Lowe really read that little offload to Genge very well indeed. Just caught him as he got man and ball and drove him backwards.
Youngs and Hamilton. Fitzgerald. Leicester once again get the big wooden spoon out and start to stir the porridge amongst the forwards.
Stayed on it.
End of porridge stirring. Bath penalty.
Falatau, fantastic work. Real good double act from Francois Lowe, who just tracked the run of Ben Youngs coming round the corner, then Falatau straight in over the top.
So apologies for the language that you'd have picked up on JP Dawes' microphone there.
A massive defensive set there. Ben Young sniping. Falatau's ability to release, get on the ball, but it isn't just the forwards that are doing it. Just when you look at the stats, Footy 8 tackles already so far in this game. It is a shared responsibility. They certainly do pride themselves, and because of all of that, that's why they're in this game.
I was watching you on Rugby Tonight this week, Lawrence, and Tulupe Falatau's in your line squad, I think, isn't he, from what I remember?
He is, just because, you know, he's had a difficult start to his Bath career. Got injured in the first game of the season. He's had 16 weeks out this season, but you can tell he's had that knee injury, and slowly but surely he's getting better and better and better with every game. He's been a factor in this game. 2 tries last week. And don't forget, the first match of the Lions tour is not for a few months yet, so you know, he potentially could be at his very, very best. And I know that Warren Gatland is not discounting those players who got injured, the likes of George Cruz, the likes of Falatau, because come the tour, they'll be at their best. Such a talented footballer.
Leicester change in the back row. Mike Fitzgerald is off. Mike Williams is on. Mike Williams, who may have played here in the autumn for England before he broke his arm. He was very much part of Eddie Jones' thinking. He was in and around the Six Nations training squad. He finally gets to test his studs on the Twickenham turf. Yours was up highest, but it was loose ball that in the end fell into the grateful arms of the Scott Denton. Cat's done a fair amount of that, head down, burrowing into Leicester midriffs. And that won't be an easy ball to gather. The sun is directly in the eyes of Vianu, and directly in his face was Samisa Rokananguni. What a quiet game Rokananguni has had. How many times have we mentioned his name? Barely at all. Bath just haven't been able to release him. He's made just a dozen metres in the match thus far, as opposed to Ford, who's gone beyond 40. Another high tester in the sunshine for Vianu. Rokananguni a little bit more prominent now, Hugo.
He's certainly getting himself into the game, and if Bath are going to amount the amount of points which they need to win this game, Rokananguni's got to be a bit more effective than what he's been so far.
Peterson, Roberts, O'Connor.
12.
Leicester are enjoying a very good spell here, possession-wise, territory-wise. Need to add points-wise now. Cleverly done that.
That was a crucial tackle. Was it Tapuai on Vianu? Just managed to scrag his leg.
Advantage.
Cat up quickly, but just a little bit too quickly as he tried to scrag McGuigan. There's a penalty coming for offside.
Interesting decision for Leicester Tigers. Matt O'Connor shouted the instructions. He may not have been involved in training this week, but I can tell you what, he's getting involved now. 5 points up, Leicester. Do they go for goal? Freddie Burns with that foot injury, or do they pop it in the corner? Because I know the driving maul was an area they were really looking to attack Bath.
Now Leicester are going to make a change. Freddie Burns' 50th match for the club is going to come to its conclusion, and Owen Williams off the bench to secure the win at Northampton 2 weeks ago with those late kicks that secured it. Looking as if he's about to come off the bench here to try and do likewise at Twickenham.
Well, I think that's a smart decision. I'm quite surprised actually that he didn't go off earlier, Freddie Burns, because he's looked in quite a bit of discomfort, and when you've got a player of the quality of Owen Williams, particularly off the tee, as you start to go into the last 15 minutes of this match.
Well, that's where he hurt himself. I just wonder, are they going to wait for Burns to take the kick at goal? As somebody who's in the groove, he clearly feels that he's fit enough to get this off the tee and between the posts, and this may well be his farewell this afternoon. He's doing what he can to stretch the muscles.
Yeah, you've seen lots of players in the last couple of minutes during this break just taking advantage of it. You see Jonathan Joseph on the other side in the 22, stretching his hamstrings. It's been a punishing game. It's been played at a high intensity, and it's finally just paying its toll on the players. And Freddie Burns, fair play, is in the groove. Just needs his hamstrings to be as flexible as they can be and accurate as they can.
Well, they have to do one more job, and if they can do it properly, Leicester will go a score clear heading into the final quarter of an hour of the match. Well, the hammies have held up, the calves have held up, Burns has held up. Leicester move further ahead. It's an 8-point lead now, and there's less than 15 left on the clock. And it looks like that'll do. That will be Freddie Burns' final contribution to just deliver one last kick up the backside of the club who'll be paying the mortgage next season.
Well, it might be the telling blow for the club that he's playing for next season, which is what makes it even more interesting.
Roberts, a little bit scruffily, but he gets away with it. Owen Williams will lead this chase. He'll warm himself up. All into the arms of Falatau. Williams holds on to his countryman for all he was worth. And here goes Foto Eliti. Pressing the accelerator for the first time in a while. Rocket and Gooney. No way through Don Barrow. What do Bath have left? They know the importance of this game in terms of the top four, in terms of the playoffs. Oh, and Faletau's gone through, and he enters beast mode once more, and Faletau sets it up, and Watson scores. And do not write Bath Sobic just yet. What a response.
Well, what a wonderful piece of skill from Talupe Faletau. That is the reason why if he's fit and fresh, he will be going on the plane to New Zealand, because he's capable of doing that lovely little delay of the pass from Jonathan Joseph. But it's all about the line that Faletau takes. And then the ability, once you do make the break, the awareness, look at that step. That's a step of an international, Ben Youngs. And then the awareness just to hold on and wait for the support. Look at that delayed pass, little double pump from Joseph. Strength and speed from Faletau, and then picks up Watson to finish it off. Brilliant hit back and response from Bath.
Oh, what a final dozen minutes we have here at Twickenham. Got to pace yourself. It's a long afternoon. We're taking you to Wembley after this. There's no point peaking too soon. But this will do for starters. Saracens against Harlequins to come with us here on BT Sport once we're done here. We're heading north of the river, which is a foreign country for Lawrence, but you'll feel at home in the company of Sarah and Co. He's got it. He's got it. Creeping towards the final 10. 1 point in it.
That's it. It's an absolutely wonderful try, but it's when Bath allow their quality combination to get together. Look at Jonathan Joseph, how flat he is from the line. Faletau with his hands up, picture perfect, and then it's about his power, his precision. Lovely ball to Anthony Watson, an easy try for them.
3 points between these two teams in the Aviva Premiership table coming into the match. Leicester 51, Bath 48. 3 games to go after this. The winners will be in pole position to make the last 4. And Bath are re-energised. They still think it might be them.
There's only 1 point between them now. 2 tries apiece, and it'll be a fantastic last 10.
Hard work from Stook. Photo Ali'i, Banahan. Williams is chasing after this. And on we go. Forward, low. Beno Abano has come on for Bath. He's replaced Nathan Catt in the front row. Joseph once more. Now, was that deliberate from Peterson? It's definitely going to take another look. Graham Hughes is our TMO, and Leicester in danger here of playing out the final 10, a man down.
Yeah, it's all about the hand. Is the hand up or is it down? And often when it's up, you look like you're scooping.
If there's no defender outside him, it might be a different decision.
Okay. It's just coming now, JP.
Yeah.
Well, there's no defender outside him, so if it is a deliberate knock-on, it's definitely a yellow card.
Yeah, so it's a yellow card.
Okay.
No, it's a block, and there's no defender outside him with 2 attacking players, so it's a yellow. I know that, but it's still a line break, okay?
And Leicester add another yellow to a pile of cards that's already the highest in the Premiership this season, and it's been a very potentially damaging few minutes for them. Bath with the try, and they'll have the extra man for what's left of this contest.
Yeah, can they make use of it? This will get pushed down as far as George Ford can get it. It's quite a tight angle.
It's a harsh yellow card for me, Lawrence. I've had a look at it on a slightly different angle, and you've got Toulouse now. I mean, it's sloppy. It really is sloppy. Rocking the goon, he is outside of him, but there's plenty of cover from about 55 metres out. The yellow card's pretty harsh.
Leicester change. Harry Thacker on for Luke Hamilton. Recently, Scott's talked that he might be on his bike at the end of the season. He's agreed to a new deal. What a big 10 minutes for all of us here now, for all of the players on the pitch, for everyone who sways one way or the other for these two sides. The playoffs at stake. Joseph giving it some air to Banahan. Oh, nicely done, and Watson will score! Oh, the Twickenham sunshine! It has been a bright, bright 2 minutes for Bath, and they've roared into the lead.
Oh, what a fantastic pass to release Matt Banahan. It looked like the move had just faltered when it went to floor, but a wonderful pass from Joseph to Banahan, and then Matt Banahan steps in and shapes up like he's going to take contact, and then just throws a delightful little air, no hands pass up in the air for Watson. Really, really good bit of skill. He sucked in the Leicester Tigers defence. They thought Matt Banahan's 6'2". He's going to take contact. Look at this. I'm going to hit you. No, I'm not. And then carries his run on just to stop the defenders.
You speak to Brian O'Driscoll, and he used to love these intricate plays of Leinster, and he always used to say, if you could tuck the ball going into contact and then open yourself up to release it, you fool the defence into thinking you're going to truck it up. Matt Banahan does that perfectly.
2 Anthony Watson tries has turned this match on its head. George Ford's now contributed a dozen points of his own. And right now you'd have to put your money on Bath to move back into the top 4 this evening.
Certainly would. A lovely bit of skill, like you said there, Lawrence. Anthony Watson enjoying the moment in front of 60,000 fans here at Twickenham. He's done it here before. What a decisive moment that might be.
Williams with the restart. Claimed by Stook. Once more, Khan Fotuali'i prepares to put boot to ball. Here goes Veanu. Youngs. Slip back for Williams. Ooh, that's been lost by Mermoz, and Bath will have the scrum. It's actually been an astute bit of business, Maxime Mermoz, arriving from Toulon. Short-term deal, he'll be a Newcastle player next season, but that will not be on the highlights reel.
Yeah, just snatched at the pass and knock on, and suddenly the crowd here found their voice. Majority of them, of course, Bath supporters, as Leicester make the changes.
Well, Michele Rizzo is coming on. He's an Italian test prop, but the change at scrum half is a fascinating one, because Ben White, an 18-year-old, is replacing Ben Youngs, whose 200th game comes to a close. It's only Ben White's 2nd game in the Premiership, 2nd youngest ever player in the league. Only Leeds' David Doherty was younger when he played all those years back. But what a moment for him, what a decision to replace one Ben for another at scrum half.
You're right, massive moment, massive decision. He made his debut in the Anglo-Welsh final, ended up being a champion. Today he's going to have that same form again. When you look at Leicester tactically, they've kicked a lot of possession, what they've had, but they've executed really well. They're down 6 points, it's got to be all out attack now.
Well, Leicester have got 2 fresh props, Michele Rizzo and Fraser Balmain, his first Premiership game of the season, and they're looking to put the squeeze on here, but Bath have done just enough to close the door. Forward to Tatawai, Joseph once more. Tatawai straightens it up. Ford, who has pulled the strings in the way we know he can. Rockin' Nguni's not done much, but he puts that kick through, and it might yet work bounce-wise. Chris Cook, who's joined us, who was chasing it.
Well, if you're Bath now, you're saying, we're not going to defend this lead, we've got to try and get out there and go for that 4th try and get the bonus point, because that could be crucial come the shake-up.
Not just that, but try and deny Leicester a losing bonus point at the moment.
Wait, can't go forward. 20, no, it hasn't.
Well, things stay the same. then Bath would get the bulk of the points, but Leicester would stay in 4th place, and we know how even the run-in looks. So this is an absolutely enormous 6 minutes left here at Twickenham.
Leicester really struggling to fill the field defensively. No one's at home. Viana's having to work overtime.
Oh, that's gone forward. JP Peterson with a little under 6 minutes left on his sin binning.
Tell you what, George Ford is looking at his scrum half in utter disgust, as he should. So what are you giving me that for?
Feet up underneath.
Only just come on, of course. Not George Ford, Cook. He's a worried man, doesn't he?
So what's tough for Leicester to attack now. One man down in the backs, up against the full back line.
Leicester have got Newcastle at Welford Road next Saturday. Home to Sale, away at Worcester. That's their run-in. Bath go to 6 ways against Worcester, then a Challenge Cup semi-final against Stad, Gloucester at the Rec, and away to Sale. The matches that each of them will feel are all winnable. But as things stand at the moment, it is Leicester who will just hold on to the all-important 4th place.
There's a lot more smiling faces amongst that. A lot of Bath supporters now than there was certainly in the opening 15 minutes. Their side have hung in this contest. They were 12 points down, then 8 points down at one stage, but fought back brilliantly.
And as things stand, both sides will end today on 52 points, but Leicester would be ahead on match wins this season. That's how they're separated. Leicester, Bath would draw level, so it must be on points difference.
So that crucial bonus point,
it's that close. Level on wins, but points difference. Goodness me, it's that close.
Black.
And it's a Leicester penalty. And we've got 5 minutes to go.
I was just going to say, he gave a final warning.
Warnings. We're still not getting positive scrums. Leave the field.
Oh, poor old Benno Obano, who's barely drawn breath, is heading off in a look of mystification on his face.
Yeah, no, I think he's got every right to. I mean, yes, you did warn the front rows, but it's a whole new front row, this guy, you know. The touch judges, the assistant referees called that penalty for Benno Obano for hinging in. I don't think that's serious enough for his first offence for that to warrant a yellow card.
It was a team warning though, wasn't it?
Well, in that case, the next scrum penalty that Leicester give away in the front row, they should have a man sin bin.
Kitchener bringing the ball down quickly. And now Leicester seeing what they can do again with the ball in hand, and McGuigan has it. Leicester short of a back, Bath short of a forward. Picked up by Thompson under an awful lot of pressure. Ross Batty finally has to give it up.
Matt Garvey said before the game that Bath put a lot of work into their drive and more, and how brilliant was that in terms of their defence there, repelling Leicester at the game line.
Taken on initially by Williams, and then that little dumper truck that is Harry Thacker.
7, good turnover.
Francois Lowe has done brilliantly to get that ball back. It's gone loose, and Leicester concede the penalty.
Oh, what a wonderful piece of work that is from Francois Lowe. He's taken a hit for his troubles. Look at this again. Initially, he's not the man on the ball, but he gets in there so strong and so hard to get off the ball, and Leicester are caught offside. And is that the last opportunity? Will Leicester get one more go? Bath will now clear their lines. They won't be in any rush to take this line out.
It is a difficult one, though, Lawrence, isn't it? That points difference thing is the kind of minutiae you wouldn't expect a player on the pitch in the heat of the battle to know. But if you're a coach, are you saying, hang on a minute, boys, we've got to deny them a losing bonus point. We need to go for more points here. A win, in the end, at the final order, it may not be good enough.
Well, I think what they're going to say is there's still these games left in the rest of the season. Bath will feel, and Leicester will feel, that they can get bonus points in their remaining games. But of course, you're right. Priority has to be to win the encounter first.
What do you think, Hughes?
I completely agree. Few matches to go. Leicester Tigers got 2 at home. They'll back themselves at home to be able to get something away from it. But more than anything, they've got to protect the losing bonus point as a minimum today.
Just able to hold on to Faletau.
Get up, get up, get up.
Can they get within range? Can they get within George Ford range? Still some way to go yet. Not even on Leicester's 10-metre line.
Use it, please, Bath. Arrive up.
Chris Cook, new scrum half with Joseph on his marks. It might yet be the heavy mob's job. It is.
Ball available. Don't push it into him, please, number 8, Bath.
Denton's away to the left. Ford's crying for it to the right. Cook's taking his time. Meantime, time continues to tick away. 90 seconds. This is Ewell. So we're getting the impression here that Bath are happy with what they have, and they, in the end, will just console themselves with the fact that they've got the win, they've got the bulk of the points, and Leicester can take what they can take.
Yeah, they're seesawing it, Nick, aren't they? Very dangerous, though.
Oh,
you get a penalty away.
Ball on the body, 4 and 3, can't play it.
Well, it's what happens when you stop playing. You know, you seesaw trying to run the clock down, still with 2.5 minutes to go. You've got to get your execution technically absolutely spot on. On that occasion, they don't, and the penalty is conceded.
But also, Leicester down to 6 men in their back line.
He's not done a great deal today, Samisa Rocket-Manguni, but that was a work of art.
That was brilliant. He stayed alive just in case, and fair play, gambled, and it's paid off.
Now, if this leads to something, what a moment that might be. Leicester flooding the breakdown, trying to snaffle back the ball, but it's not theirs, and this is Banahan, and Tapawise just to his left-hand side. Into the final 30 seconds.
That was balletic from Rocket-Manguni, wasn't it, on that touchline? Unbelievable piece of skill.
Leave it 17, Leicester!
You've got to say, Leicester tried to take too much off it.
Yeah, he was on the high bar. Time's up. The 60,000 have counted down the clock, and George Ford fires it into the south stand. Bath celebrations, but we will have to wait to see, and we wonder if that's the result that will sort out the playoffs or not. Leicester with the losing bonus point, courtesy of points difference, tonight will still be 4th, and they'll still be favourites for the playoffs.
Certainly will be. They put on a hell of a show today. We credited the marketing team before the game. 60,000 packed out of sunny day at Twickenham, and the players backed it up in their performance. That's what it means to them. 4 points, everything.
James Dyson kept the best bits of his pioneering corded vacuums and reinvented the vacuum. Again, big heavy motors are replaced by this powerful hyperdymium motor. Redesigned concentric cyclones generate forces up to 79,000 G. And an improved cleaner head picks up large debris and fine dust. For powerful fade-free suction to clean anywhere. Only a Dyson works like a Dyson.
Get the Dyson V7 Motorhead Plus, now with combination tool, crevice tool, a stubborn dirt brush and a 2-year guarantee.